My name is Mufti Menk, and I welcome you to a place of peace, guidance, and inspiration. Life can often feel overwhelming, and at times it may seem impossible to find a way forward. But today, together, we will explore 6 powerful truths that can transform despair into hope, weakness into strength, and uncertainty into unwavering faith. We will learn to trust in the unseen, embrace patience in hardship, harness the power of sincere dua, recognize that Allah's mercy is boundless, move from despair to hope, and walk steadily with faith, trusting Allah's perfect plan. These lessons are more than words. They are a sanctuary for your heart, a guiding light for your soul, and a reminder that every closed door holds the potential for something greater. Subscribe and join this journey of spiritual awakening so your heart may find strength, peace, and hope. Sometimes life places us in moments so heavy, so overwhelming, that it feels as though every door has closed and every path has vanished before our eyes. We search for answers, we call for help, and yet, in the silence that surrounds us, doubt creeps quietly into our hearts. It tells us that perhaps the struggle is too great, that the obstacles are too many, that hope itself is fading. But it is precisely in these moments that the presence of Allah is closest to us, whispering through the unseen currents of our lives that His plan is far greater than what we can comprehend. Even when our eyes fail to see the way forward, and our hearts grow weary, there is an unseen hand guiding us, opening doors we cannot yet imagine. The wisdom of Allah is subtle, quiet, and often concealed, yet it is always present, orchestrating a path that leads to mercy, growth, and blessings beyond our understanding. We forget, in our human impatience, that every closed door carries with it a divine purpose. Sometimes what we perceive as failure, delay, or disappointment is in truth the shaping of our destiny in ways that will astonish us when the time comes. The story of Musa is a timeless reminder of this truth. When he faced the vastness of the sea, surrounded and trapped by the army before him and the waters ahead, the path seemed impossible. Yet in that moment of despair, when human reason would falter, Allah's plan unfolded, and the sea parted, creating a way that no eyes had seen, no mind had conceived. It was a miracle not of force alone, but of timing, of trust, of surrender to the wisdom of the one who knows all that is hidden. Our own lives are filled with such unseen miracles, waiting for the moment when faith overcomes fear, and patience is rewarded with revelation. Every hardship carries with it an opportunity to draw closer to Allah. When doors remain closed and plans collapse, it is not always a sign of rejection, but a sign of preparation. Our hearts are being shaped, our characters refined, our patience strengthened, and our dependence on Allah deepened. The believer who trusts in the unseen does not surrender to despair, nor does he allow fear to govern his actions. Instead, he steps forward with quiet confidence, knowing that Allah is orchestrating circumstances for a purpose far greater than immediate satisfaction. This trust does not mean inaction. It is not passive resignation. It is a courageous movement through uncertainty, guided by faith, shaped by prayer, and illuminated by the constant remembrance that nothing occurs outside the knowledge and mercy of Allah. Consider the countless stories of the prophets and the righteous who faced unimaginable trials yet remained steadfast. Yunus, swallowed by the whale, called out to Allah from the depths of darkness and despair. His voice, filled with genuine submission and reliance, reached the most merciful, and in that moment, the impossible became possible. Just as Yunus trusted Allah from within the belly of the whale, we too must trust in the unseen hand that is quietly guiding our lives, even when the horizon seems blocked and the storms of life roar around us. The unseen is not empty, it is full of promise, full of mercy, and full of the divine wisdom that transforms our moments of difficulty into the foundation of enduring strength. Trust in the unseen demands patience, and patience demands faith. Our world tempts us with immediate answers, quick fixes, and visible proof. Yet, the most profound transformations come through the invisible threads of guidance, which are woven patiently and subtly into our lives. Faith allows us to see beyond what is immediately apparent, to hear the whispers of mercy in moments of silence, and to sense the divine orchestration in the events that surround us. In trusting the unseen, we learn to let go of the illusion that we control everything. We acknowledge that Allah's wisdom exceeds our understanding, and that His timing is always perfect. Our role is not to force the outcome, but to move with integrity, sincerity, and reliance, allowing the unseen plan to unfold in its own divine rhythm. Every setback, every disappointment, every closed door is an invitation to lean closer, to pray more deeply, and to place our hearts fully in the hands of Allah. It is a chance to strengthen our reliance on Him, to recognize that His mercy is boundless, and that His guidance is always near, even when it is invisible. Sometimes, the blessing lies not in what is gained immediately, but in the growth of the soul, in the refinement of character, and in the strengthening of trust that comes when one walks faithfully through uncertainty. The unseen is alive with divine possibilities, and those who trust in it find that hope is never lost, even when circumstances seem impossible. Let us remember, too, that patience and faith do not remove the trials themselves, but they change the way we experience them. The believer who walks with trust in the unseen learns to see beyond immediate hardship, to sense the hand of Allah guiding each step, and to recognize the hidden mercy in every challenge. The heart becomes a sanctuary, calm amidst the storms, resting in the knowledge that what is hidden is always working toward our ultimate good. Doors may appear closed, paths may vanish from sight, yet when we surrender with humility and trust, Allah opens ways that surpass imagination, leading us to blessings, relief, and fulfillment that our hearts never knew existed. In every moment of uncertainty, in every trial that weighs upon your soul, remember that the unseen is filled with mercy, guidance, and opportunity. Trust Allah with the affairs that you cannot see. Move forward with courage, knowing that He is opening paths in His own wisdom, in His own timing, for reasons that may only become clear when you look back and recognize the perfection of His plan. Let patience guide you, let faith sustain you, and let hope never leave your heart, for even when life seems impossible, Allah's unseen hand is always at work, and His blessings are nearer than you think. Trust the unseen, and you will discover that every closed door is only preparing the way for a miracle beyond your imagination. Every trial that comes into our lives carries a purpose, even when it feels heavy and overwhelming. Life does not always unfold according to our expectations, and often we find ourselves standing at the edge of difficulties that seem insurmountable. In these moments, the heart is tested, the spirit is stretched, and patience becomes the measure of our faith. Patience is not a passive waiting, nor is it a quiet surrender to hardship without understanding. It is a strength that rises from deep within, a resilience that allows us to endure while keeping our hearts anchored to Allah. Every hardship we face is an opportunity to refine our character, to strengthen our trust in the most merciful, and to realize that true strength lies not in controlling every circumstance, but in embracing the divine wisdom behind them. Consider the story of Prophet Musa, who faced mountains of challenges and moments of despair that would have shaken any soul. He was confronted with a seemingly impossible situation, surrounded by forces beyond his control, yet he moved forward with patience and unwavering reliance on Allah. His trials were not merely obstacles, They were opportunities for growth, lessons in trust, and a demonstration of how steadfastness in the face of adversity invites the guidance of the Most High. Patience transforms our perspective, allowing us to see the hidden blessings within difficulties. What seems like an end may be the very beginning of something greater if we endure with faith. Patience is a quiet strength that the heart practices when words are insufficient, when the soul cries out for relief, and when human effort reaches its limits. It is a strength that does not boast or seek recognition, yet it is profoundly powerful because it draws us closer to Allah. Through patience, we learn to surrender fully, to rely entirely on Him, and to acknowledge that His timing is perfect. Our eyes may see only obstacles, but our faith allows us to sense the divine orchestration behind every difficulty. The believer who practices patience understands that trials are not punishments, but opportunities for spiritual growth and deeper connection with the Creator. Difficulties in life are inevitable, yet they are also temporary. No hardship lasts forever, and no challenge is beyond the mercy of Allah. When we face pain, disappointment, or loss, it is patience that sustains us. It is patience that keeps our hearts from breaking under the weight of despair and transforms suffering into a means of purification and reward. The believer who practices patience in hardship does not become passive or resign. Instead, patience inspires action aligned with faith, guidance with wisdom, and trust in Allah's plan even when the path is unclear. Patience also nurtures hope, for it is through patience that we hold on to the promise of better days. It allows the heart to rest amidst turmoil, to find peace in moments of uncertainty, and to believe that the mercy of Allah is always near. The unseen blessings, the doors yet to be opened, and the relief yet to come are all intertwined with the patient endurance of trials. By patiently navigating the storms of life, the believer discovers that hardship is not merely something to survive, but a means to awaken resilience, humility, and deeper trust in the divine. The power of dua is magnified when paired with patience. When we pray sincerely in moments of difficulty, asking Allah for guidance, relief, and wisdom, our prayers are strengthened by our willingness to endure until His response manifests. Like Prophet Musa facing overwhelming challenges, or Yunus in the depths of the whale, the call to Allah in patience and surrender carries immense weight. The believer who endures patiently while maintaining supplication experiences a connection to the Most Merciful that transcends the visible trials, revealing the divine wisdom and mercy embedded within every hardship. Patience in hardship is also a reflection of humility, for it acknowledges our limitations and recognizes the infinite wisdom of Allah. It is a reminder that we are not in control of every outcome, but we are responsible for how we respond. Our actions, our reliance, and our perseverance shape the trajectory of our journey. The patient heart does not succumb to anger, resentment, or despair. It chooses calmness over chaos, trust over fear, and hope over hopelessness. By embracing patience, the believer allows the unseen forces of Allah's mercy and guidance to work through life's difficulties, turning trials into stepping stones towards spiritual maturity and inner peace. Every challenge endured with patience leaves an indelible mark on the soul. The trials we face are often tests not only of our endurance but of our sincerity, faith, and submission. It is through patience that the believer cultivates a heart that is resilient, a mind that is steadfast, and a spirit that finds comfort in Allah's promises. Patience reminds us that difficulties are never permanent, that divine guidance is always near, and that what seems unbearable now may later become a source of blessing, wisdom, and testimony of faith. In every hardship, there is a lesson, and in every trial, there is an opportunity to grow closer to Allah. The strength to endure, the courage to persevere, and the faith to trust in the unseen are all gifts that patience nurtures within us. Let the heart hold firm, even when the weight feels heavy, and let the soul remain steadfast, even when the path seems unclear. The believer who walks in patience learns that every hardship carries the potential to open doors that were once unimaginable, to reveal blessings hidden in the folds of difficulty, and to transform trials into testimonies of divine mercy and guidance. Every moment of endurance, every breath taken in calm surrender, every prayer whispered in the night, is a step toward doors opening that were once closed. Patience is not passive. It is the quiet, courageous strength that allows the heart to withstand life's storms while trusting fully in the wisdom and mercy of Allah. It is the companion of faith, the shield against despair, and the bridge to the blessings that await. Hold steadfast in patience, for it is through patience that the impossible becomes possible, the unseen becomes visible, and the trials of today prepare the path for the doors of tomorrow. Never underestimate the power of sincere dua, for it is a direct connection between the heart of the believer and the most merciful, the one who knows all that is hidden and all that is yet to unfold. Dua is not merely words spoken aloud. It is the language of the soul, a heartfelt conversation with the Creator who listens, who understands, and who responds in wisdom and mercy beyond what we can imagine. In moments of despair, when the world seems silent and the path ahead is shrouded in uncertainty, dua becomes a beacon of hope, a lifeline to Allah's guidance, and a refuge for the heart seeking relief. It is through sincere supplication that the soul finds comfort, the mind finds clarity, and the heart finds courage to trust in the unseen workings of divine wisdom. Consider the story of Yunus, who found himself in the depths of the whale, trapped and alone, facing circumstances that seemed utterly hopeless. In the belly of the darkness, he turned to Allah with complete sincerity, calling out with a heart full of hope and submission. His dua was simple yet profound, a plea for mercy and rescue, and in that moment, the impossible was transformed. Allah heard him, responded to his call, and delivered him in a way that no human eye could foresee. This story is not merely a tale from the past. It is a living reminder that no matter how confined or overwhelmed we may feel, our supplications reach the most merciful, and He responds in His perfect timing and wisdom. Every dua offered with sincerity, humility, and faith carries the potential to change the course of our lives, to open doors that were previously closed, and to illuminate paths that seemed unreachable. Dua is both an act of reliance and an act of surrender. It acknowledges that we cannot control everything and that our knowledge is limited, yet it affirms that Allah's mercy and wisdom are boundless. When the heart turns sincerely in prayer, it is not merely asking for relief. It is placing trust in the one who is capable of all things. The believer who calls upon Allah with patience and devotion demonstrates a profound awareness of divine power and timing. Even when answers seem delayed or the outcomes remain hidden, sincere dua nurtures hope, strengthens faith, and reinforces the awareness that Allah's wisdom is far greater than human understanding. Each supplication is a step closer to the unseen mercy that surrounds us, and each moment of sincere prayer is a reminder that we are never alone in our struggles. It is also important to understand that the power of dua is magnified when combined with trust, patience, and action. While calling upon Allah, the believer is encouraged to maintain effort, uphold integrity, and follow the guidance of divine wisdom in all actions. Dua does not replace action. It complements it, guiding the believer to act with sincerity, humility, and reliance. The soul that prays diligently while taking the steps within its capacity demonstrates a perfect balance between trust in Allah and fulfillment of personal responsibility. This harmony between supplication and action transforms the heart, aligns it with divine guidance, and opens doors that would otherwise remain closed. The beauty of dua lies in its accessibility. It is a gift available to all, regardless of status, wealth, or circumstance. A heartfelt whisper in the quiet of the night carries as much weight as a formal prayer in a mosque. The sincerity of intention, the humility of the heart, and the depth of faith determine its impact. Allah hears every plea, no matter how small or simple, and responds in ways that reflect infinite mercy, wisdom, and compassion. The believer learns through dua that relief may come in forms unexpected, timing may differ from immediate desire, and blessings may manifest in ways that transform both the heart and the circumstances surrounding it. Sincere dua also cultivates resilience. When the heart continually turns to Allah, seeking guidance, relief, and understanding, it develops a quiet strength that allows one to endure trials with patience. Every supplication becomes a source of inner peace, a reminder that while human efforts have limits, the mercy of Allah is limitless. Through consistent and heartfelt prayer, the believer discovers a sanctuary within the soul, a place of calm, trust, and hope, where fear and despair cannot take root. Like a tree nourished at its core, the heart grows strong, its roots entwined with divine guidance, allowing it to withstand storms and flourish even amidst adversity. Dua also nurtures gratitude and awareness of Allah's mercy. In calling upon the Most Merciful, we acknowledge our dependence on Him, recognize His infinite wisdom, and develop appreciation for the guidance already present in our lives. Each answered prayer, each moment of subtle relief, and each unseen mercy reinforces our connection to Allah, reminding us that even the smallest act of sincere supplication can have profound consequences. The believer who engages in regular, heartfelt dua cultivates a consciousness of divine presence, finding comfort in the knowledge that no situation is beyond the reach of Allah's mercy, and no heart is beyond His listening ear. The story of Yunus illustrates that sincere dua does not merely ask for deliverance from hardship, it transforms the believer. In that moment of surrender, of complete reliance on Allah, the heart is purified, the spirit renewed, and the trust in divine wisdom deepened. Our own lives may not place us in a whale, but we all face situations that feel confining, hopeless, or overwhelming. When we call upon Allah in sincerity, the power of dua works quietly to shift hearts, open doors, and bring clarity to the mind, even before tangible outcomes appear. The unseen workings of Allah respond to the faith, patience, and sincerity embedded in every heartfelt plea. To embrace the power of dua is to embrace hope itself. It is to affirm that no matter how deep the darkness, how overwhelming the struggle, or how impossible the circumstances, Allah's mercy is near. When the heart prays sincerely, trusting fully in His wisdom and responding with patience, doors begin to open that were once unseen. Relief arrives in ways beyond imagination, and the soul discovers a profound sense of peace and purpose. Speak to Allah with a heart full of hope, trust Him fully, and believe in His mercy, for every sincere dua carries the potential to transform life, guide the soul, and illuminate the path through even the darkest of times. Even when the weight of our mistakes presses heavily upon our hearts, even when regret clouds the mind and shame burdens the soul, Allah's mercy remains far greater than all our fears, far wider than all our shortcomings. We often measure ourselves by our failures, by the moments when we fell short or acted in ways we later regret. Yet in every instance, Allah's mercy is closer, deeper, and more encompassing than the mistakes we cling to. The human heart is prone to despair, to imagining that once we err, we are lost, that our sins have placed us beyond the reach of compassion. But Allah, the most merciful, reminds us through His words and through His guidance that no soul is beyond His mercy, no darkness too deep, and no obstacle too impenetrable when we turn to Him with sincerity. Life places trials before us, and sometimes our own actions amplify the hardships we face. We carry the weight of guilt, imagining that past errors are chains that will bind us forever. Yet it is in these moments, when the heart feels heaviest, that Allah's mercy shines the brightest. It reaches us not through grand displays alone, but in quiet whispers, in gentle signs, in subtle guidance that steers us back toward hope and light. The mercy of Allah is not merely an abstract concept. It is a living reality that surrounds every believer who seeks refuge in Him, no matter how lost or overwhelmed they feel. Consider the countless stories of those guided by divine mercy. The prophets, the righteous, and those devoted in faith were not free from error or human weakness. Yet their return to Allah, their turning toward His guidance, and their trust in His mercy brought them relief, protection, and blessings that surpassed every trial they endured. Every sin that weighed upon the heart became an opportunity for purification. Every moment of regret became a doorway to renewed connection with the most merciful. This pattern continues for all of us. Mistakes are not the end of the story, but invitations to lean into mercy, to seek guidance, and to allow the soul to be healed by divine compassion. Allah's mercy is boundless, encompassing not only our external circumstances, but also the internal struggles we face. Anxiety, fear, and self-doubt may cloud the mind, but His mercy is a light that cannot be extinguished. No situation is too dark, no path too blocked, and no heart too burdened when it turns toward Him. The believer who surrenders sincerely, who acknowledges mistakes and seeks forgiveness, discovers that mercy is not a reward for perfection, but a balm for imperfection. It is precisely in our flaws, our struggles, and our human weakness that the reality of Allah's mercy becomes most apparent, reaching into places where self-effort alone cannot heal. To hold onto Allah's mercy is to embrace hope when all else seems lost. It is to understand that divine guidance is not contingent on our achievements, but on our willingness to return, to repent, and to trust, even when the consequences of actions loom large, even when regret feels unbearable. Allah's mercy surpasses every limitation. The heart that recognizes this truth finds solace, strength, and resilience. It learns that mercy is a constant presence, a refuge in which the soul can rest and the mind can find clarity amidst the storms of life. The mercy of Allah is also a call to reflection and self-awareness. It invites the believer to examine the heart, to recognize areas of weakness, and to seek continuous improvement, not through fear alone, but through love, trust, and hope. When the believer acknowledges human limitation while trusting divine mercy, the soul finds balance. There is neither arrogance in believing oneself beyond failure, nor despair in believing oneself beyond forgiveness. Instead, there is a profound equilibrium in which the heart remains humble, yet confident in the encompassing care of the most merciful. No circumstance is too dire to overcome when paired with reliance on Allah's mercy. The storms of life may rage, obstacles may appear insurmountable, and the darkness of error may seem unending, yet every act of turning back to Allah, every sincere moment of seeking His guidance, and every prayer offered with hope illuminates the path forward. Like a candle in the night, mercy pierces the darkness, Like a river cutting through rock, it slowly shapes the soul, softening hardness, smoothing pain, and opening channels of relief that were previously unseen. It is in recognizing the boundless nature of Allah's mercy that the believer gains courage to act, to correct, and to strive despite past missteps. Mercy does not encourage complacency, but inspires transformation. It reassures the heart that each step toward Allah, each prayer whispered in sincerity, each act of repentance, carries weight beyond imagination. Even when previous mistakes weigh heavily, even when fear threatens to paralyze, mercy assures that divine compassion is greater than all human error. This knowledge allows the believer to move forward with confidence, to seek guidance without hesitation, and to trust that Allah's plan remains active, purposeful, and merciful. The heart that embraces mercy finds peace in the midst of uncertainty. It is a peace that surpasses understanding, a calm that endures even when circumstances remain challenging. Mercy transforms anxiety into trust, fear into hope, and despair into renewed faith. It is both refuge and strength, presence and guidance, quiet comfort and overwhelming support. The believer who consistently turns toward Allah, even after error and failure, discovers that mercy is a living force, shaping life's journey, softening trials, and opening doors that were previously blocked by doubt or fear. To rely on Allah's mercy is to understand that no one is abandoned, no one is left hopeless, and no heart that turns sincerely is ignored. Every mistake carries with it the opportunity for redemption. Every hardship becomes a vessel for growth, and every moment of reflection opens a door to divine guidance. Mercy is the bridge between despair and hope, between human limitation and divine possibility. It invites trust, nurtures patience, and strengthens the soul for the journey ahead. Even in the heaviest of times, when the mind is clouded by regret and the heart aches with the weight of past errors, Allah's mercy remains steadfast, encompassing, and ready to lift the burden from the believer who seeks it. It reaches into the deepest corners of the soul, providing guidance, comfort, and a way forward. The doors of hope are never closed to those who rely on His mercy. The heart that trusts in this truth can endure, grow, and find peace, knowing that the most merciful never abandons those who sincerely turn toward Him. Hold on to His mercy, seek His guidance, and allow your heart to rest in the unwavering truth that Allah's mercy is limitless, unending, and always near. There are moments in life when the heart feels unbearably heavy, when the strength to continue seems to slip through the fingers, and when every path ahead appears blocked by insurmountable obstacles. In these moments, despair can seep quietly into the soul, whispering that all hope is lost and that the light at the end of the tunnel is a distant illusion. Yet it is precisely in these moments that the mercy of Allah is closest, that unseen doors are waiting to open, and that the impossible can become reality. Life may place trials before us that test the limits of our endurance, but no matter how overwhelming the circumstances, Allah's guidance is always present, often in ways that are invisible to the human eye. To surrender fully to Him, to trust His timing and wisdom, is to invite hope into the very depths of despair, transforming moments of weakness into opportunities for divine strength and mercy. When despair surrounds the heart, it can feel as if every effort is futile. Yet history and scripture are filled with reminders that Allah opens doors when we least expect it. Prophet Musa faced the Red Sea, trapped between the advancing army and the waters that seemed impassable. In that moment of absolute impossibility, when human reasoning failed, Allah's mercy manifested, the sea parted, and a path emerged where none had existed. That story, while centuries old, speaks directly to every soul who faces seemingly hopeless circumstances. The doors that appear closed are not permanent barriers. They are temporary veils behind which divine possibilities are unfolding. Trusting in Allah's wisdom allows the heart to see beyond immediate despair and to sense the hidden pathways of mercy that He is preparing. Surrendering fully to Allah does not mean giving up or abandoning responsibility. It means acknowledging that ultimate control lies with Him and that every situation, no matter how dire, is within His knowledge and power. The believer who surrenders learns to release the tight grip on fear and uncertainty and instead anchors the heart in trust. In doing so, despair loses its dominance over the soul. Faith becomes the lens through which even the darkest situations are viewed, transforming anxiety into patience, fear into hope, and doubt into a quiet strength that allows the believer to move forward even when the way seems unclear. Despair has a way of distorting perception, magnifying obstacles, and shrinking hope. It tells the heart that the doors ahead are permanently shut, that no solutions exist, and that relief will never arrive. Yet when the believer turns sincerely to Allah, prays with humility, and trusts in His mercy, despair begins to dissolve. Like clouds dispersing after a storm, the heart begins to sense light, the mind begins to see possibilities, and the soul begins to recognize that Allah is always working for the believer's good, often in ways that are hidden until the perfect moment. Every difficulty carries within it the seed of relief, and every moment of despair holds the potential to blossom into hope when the heart places full trust in the most merciful. Faith stronger than fear is the key to navigating moments of despair. Fear often tempts the believer to act hastily, to surrender prematurely, or to lose sight of divine possibilities. But faith acts as a stabilizing force, allowing the heart to endure, the mind to remain clear, and the soul to remain receptive to guidance. Faith is not blind optimism. It is a conscious choice to rely on Allah's wisdom and mercy, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. By embracing faith, the believer learns to walk steadily through challenges, to recognize the unseen hands of divine intervention, and to remain hopeful even when all visible signs suggest impossibility. Despair can be a catalyst for deeper connection with Allah. When the heart is heavy and the spirit is tested, sincere prayer becomes a bridge to the most merciful. Like Yunus in the belly of the whale, when the soul calls out with humility, hope, and trust, Allah responds in ways beyond imagination. The believer who perseveres through despair with faith and prayer experiences a profound transformation. What initially seemed like weakness becomes strength. What seemed like failure becomes a lesson. And what appeared to be the end becomes the beginning of a path illuminated by divine guidance. Every believer will encounter moments when hope feels distant and the weight of life feels unbearable. Yet it is precisely in these moments that surrendering fully to Allah unlocks possibilities that were previously invisible. Doors that seemed permanently closed may suddenly open, obstacles may be removed, and paths may appear where none existed before. The transformation from despair to hope is not merely external, it occurs within the heart, shaping resilience, strengthening trust, and deepening reliance on Allah. Through patience, prayer, and faith, despair becomes a teacher, guiding the soul toward a deeper understanding of divine mercy and the limitless potential that comes from trusting in the unseen. It is also important to recognize that hope is not passive waiting. True hope requires engagement, perseverance, and a conscious alignment with divine guidance. While the heart remains anchored in trust, the believer continues to act, to strive, and to uphold the principles of integrity, patience, and prayer. This balance between surrender and effort ensures that despair does not paralyze, but rather transforms into purposeful action aligned with Allah's wisdom. By walking this path, the believer discovers that hope is always accessible, even in the darkest moments, because it is rooted not in circumstance, but in divine mercy. The heart that moves from despair to hope learns to see every challenge as temporary, every setback as an opportunity, and every moment of difficulty as a doorway to growth and renewal. No matter how dark the present feels, the light of Allah's guidance is always near, ready to illuminate paths that were hidden, to open doors that were closed, and to transform impossibility into reality. The believer who embraces this truth moves forward with courage, knowing that surrender, faith, and trust are the keys to unlocking the mercy and guidance that Allah has prepared. When life feels overwhelming, when strength fades, and when hope seems distant, remember that every moment of despair carries within it the potential for divine relief. Doors may open unexpectedly, blessings may arrive when least anticipated, and guidance may unfold in ways beyond imagination. By surrendering fully to Allah, trusting in His wisdom, and allowing faith to outweigh fear, the believer transforms despair into hope, weakness into strength, and uncertainty into certainty. Let your faith be stronger than your fear, and let every moment of despair become a doorway to the hope that Allah is preparing for you. Life's journey is rarely smooth. It is filled with turns we do not expect, obstacles we cannot foresee, and challenges that test the very limits of our strength. Yet it is precisely in this unpredictability that walking with faith becomes both essential and transformative. Faith is not merely a belief confined to words. It is a guiding force that shapes the way we move through the world, giving courage to the hesitant heart and light to the path obscured by uncertainty. Even when the way ahead is unclear, even when fear and doubt press against the spirit, a step taken with trust in Allah carries power beyond imagination. Each small act of movement anchored in faith becomes a testimony of trust in the one who sees all, knows all, and orchestrates all with infinite wisdom. Consider the moments in our lives when nothing seems to align. Doors appear closed, opportunities vanish, and the future seems shrouded in shadows. It is precisely at these times that walking with faith transforms the impossible into the possible. The believer who takes even a single step forward, guided by trust in Allah, begins to witness subtle signs of mercy, guidance, and opportunity. The path may not immediately reveal itself, yet each step brings clarity, each effort invokes divine support, and each act of patience strengthens the heart. Faith does not eliminate difficulty, but it illuminates the path through it, showing that obstacles are temporary and that Allah's timing is always perfect. Walking with faith also requires courage. It is easy to remain stagnant when fear threatens to overwhelm, when uncertainty clouds the mind, or when previous failures weigh heavily on the heart. Yet courage does not mean the absence of fear. It is the ability to act despite it. The believer who moves forward with faith recognizes that fear is a natural companion in the human experience, but it does not have the final say. By taking steps guided by trust in Allah, the heart learns resilience, the mind gains clarity, and the spirit discovers strength that surpasses human understanding. Every challenge faced with faith becomes a stepping stone, every closed door a preparation for something greater, and every moment of uncertainty an opportunity for divine guidance to reveal itself. Faith requires patience and trust, for the journey is not always immediate or easy. Human hearts often seek instant solutions, quick relief, and visible results. Yet Allah's wisdom transcends human timing, and the doors He opens may appear at moments we least expect. The believer who walks steadily in faith understands that delay is not denial, that patience is not weakness, and that every closed door serves a purpose beyond immediate comprehension. By surrendering to His timing and remaining steadfast, the heart aligns with divine guidance, and the path that once seemed unclear begins to take shape. Trusting Allah's wisdom allows the believer to navigate life with serenity, knowing that the unseen forces of mercy and planning are always at work. Walking with faith also transforms perception. When the heart moves with trust, the soul begins to see possibilities previously hidden. The mind recognizes opportunities in adversity, and challenges become avenues for growth rather than barriers to hope. Life's difficulties are not simply obstacles, they are lessons, reminders, and opportunities for reliance on Allah. The believer learns to interpret trials not as punishments, but as instruments for shaping character, strengthening resolve, and deepening connection with the Most Merciful. Each step forward, though small or tentative, becomes a testimony to the power of trust and the efficacy of walking faithfully in alignment with divine guidance. The stories of the prophets, the righteous, and the devoted believers illustrate this principle clearly. Time and again, they faced circumstances that would have overwhelmed any ordinary soul. Their paths were uncertain, their obstacles immense, and their futures unpredictable. Yet by walking with faith, by taking steps guided by trust in Allah, they witnessed the impossible become possible. The sea parted, mountains moved, and doors opened where none seemed to exist. Their journeys were not devoid of difficulty, but their faith transformed each challenge into opportunity, each setback into a lesson, and each moment of uncertainty into a demonstration of divine mercy. Walking with faith also demands consistency. A single act of trust, though meaningful, grows stronger when nurtured continually through prayer, reflection, and reliance on Allah. The believer who moves day by day, step by step, guided by faith, cultivates a heart that is resilient in the face of setbacks, steady amidst uncertainty, and open to the doors that Allah has prepared. Faith becomes a rhythm in life, a source of calm amidst chaos, and a guiding light through darkness. The more the believer walks with this trust, the more opportunities emerge, the more guidance becomes apparent, and the more the impossible begins to feel within reach. Faith is not blind, it is deeply aware, conscious, and responsive. Walking with faith requires the heart to observe signs, the mind to recognize guidance, and the soul to align actions with divine wisdom. Even when the immediate outcome is uncertain, the believer understands that each effort, each prayer, and each patient step is part of a greater plan orchestrated by Allah. What appears as delay or obstruction may in fact be preparation for a blessing beyond imagination. Doors that seem closed may be shaping circumstances, refining character, and creating opportunities that will reveal themselves at the perfect moment. The heart that walks with faith is also a heart that trusts in mercy. No matter how challenging the journey, how unclear the path, or how heavy the trials, the believer moves forward confident that Allah's guidance will manifest in time. Faith transforms fear into courage, hesitation into action, and uncertainty into trust. It is through walking with faith that despair finds its remedy, that hope finds its foundation, and that life's obstacles are met with resilience rather than resignation. Each step is infused with intention, each effort strengthened by reliance on Allah, and each moment of patience rewarded by the subtle but undeniable presence of divine guidance. Even when progress seems invisible, even when no doors appear open, walking with faith ensures that every effort is recognized, every step is accounted for, and every trial is imbued with purpose. The believer who remains steadfast discovers that the journey itself, undertaken in trust and surrender, becomes a source of strength, clarity, and illumination. Faith reveals that no path is truly closed, no door permanently locked, and no challenge insurmountable when the heart moves with trust in Allah's wisdom. Take one step, even when the path is unclear. Trust Allah's timing, follow His wisdom, and let your heart remain steadfast. Every closed door is a preparation, every trial a shaping, and every moment of uncertainty an invitation to witness the impossible unfold through faith. Thank you for joining me on this journey of reflection and guidance. Remember, no matter the trials you face, Allah's mercy is always near, and His plan is greater than any difficulty. Keep your faith strong, your heart patient, and your supplications sincere. If this message touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected for more reminders, inspiration, and guidance. May Allah bless you, open doors you never imagined, and fill your heart with hope and peace.